I thought A Christmas Number One would be a pleasant, easy watch with some good Christmas music. I was partly right. It is pleasant. There is some good music, some brilliant music, in fact, but it's not the easiest. There are times when it's very heavy, when it gets really emotional, and the film ended up being so much more important than I envisioned it being. There's definitely some comedy in there. It's not always heavy all of the time, but it's definitely not a film to watch if you're not in the mood to cry at a film. If you're not necessarily in the right headspace for that, I'd say put it to one side, come back to it when you're in the right frame of mind, but I definitely think it's worth watching at some point. This was released in 2021. It's directed by Cottam, and it's written by Keiron Self and Giles New, and the cast includes Helena Zengel, Iwan Rheon, and Freida Pinto, and the narrative is really enjoyable. It did take maybe 15-20 minutes to get to a point where I was starting to enjoy it, but once we had the characters established and the narrative established, I really enjoyed this. This is about a music manager who has been tasked with finding a song that they're going to try and make this year's Christmas number one, and she finds Blake, who has written a Christmas song for Nina, and I don't want to say too much about that, but it is quite significant, and she hears this song and has a bit of a challenge getting Blake to agree to let this boy band sing this song, and it's all about the process and the relationships and, well, another emotional aspect. But again, I really don't want to give away too much about that because it's, at least I didn't see it coming. And that meant it was all the more moving and unexpected. So I'll say no more about the specifics of the narrative, but it works really well. The pacing is great. We get to hear a lot of different people singing quite a variety of songs when they're trying to find this Christmas song. And we have some really great music in this and really catchy songs. And that definitely helps to make things a little bit lighter, because a lot of the songs are quite upbeat and jolly and really, really delightful. I also want to praise them for not filling up too much space with the songs. Quite a lot of films, not all films, but if a film is about the music industry, they will pad things out by making us listen to so many songs in their entirety when it's not necessary. And that's not the case here. We get most of the time, we just hear snippets of music, enough time to get a feel of the song, but not so much that we're waiting for something to happen to move the narrative forward. And I think they got the balance there really well. Most of the characters are very likeable. I certainly think the performances are really great. And Nina, Helena Zengel's character, is wonderful, and her performance is incredible. And she definitely, for me, is the big standout in this film. I think she made it from a good film to a great film. And the narrative itself is really obviously engaging. We have some great music and a lot of tension a lot of the time when things are maybe not going in certain people's way. We also have the suspense of, will this song even become the Christmas number one? And obviously I'm not going to answer that, but I think it could have gone either way. I don't think it was predictable. I never felt like we were 100% going down one path. And I like that. I like the fact that everything wasn't already mapped out for us within the beginning of the film. There are a lot of films where that's the case, and that's fine, but this isn't one of those films. It is a real journey. It's a journey we take with some brilliant characters and some wonderful performances behind those characters and a well-constructed narrative. As I said, a little slow to begin with, but once it got going, it really took off. And it's also quite long as well. I think the film is close to about 1 hour and 50 minutes, which in general, for my liking, unless a film needs to be that long, I don't think a film should be that long. But it worked. It worked well. Apart from the slow beginning, I never really felt like I was looking at the clock or anything. I was fully engaged in this. So I don't have any issues with the length at all. And I really enjoyed it. As I said, A Christmas Number One seemed like it was going to be a fluffy, light-hearted, easy watch. It isn't an easy watch. At least in parts of it, we get some comic relief, we get some respite from the heavier scenes, but it's definitely a very important, moving film with, I think, some really great messages, some great takeaways, and ultimately, if it sounds like a film that would appeal to you, whether that's something that you're in the mood to watch now or you think maybe it's worth putting to one side for when you're in a different mind frame, I think A Christmas Number One is definitely worth watching.